Australia versus South Africa, the penultimate game of the tournament, for a spot in the finals of the ICC Cricket World Cup. These two cricketing mammoths take on each other, and I, your host Erishe Solai, experts Parth and Sriraam are going to guide you through this game. This is Stumps and Sixes, where every cricket moment finds its voice. Produced by the International Institute of Sports and Management. Wishing all our viewers a very happy Diwali, and the Diwali celebrations have been accelerated by the fact that the hosts, India, have now taken up a spot in the final. So anyway, let's hear what our experts have to say about the second semi-finals.
A very interesting thing that has happened if you look at the points table is that India topped the table, then you have South Africa which eventually lost to India. Then you have Australia that lost to India and South Africa, and then you have New Zealand that also lost to Australia, South Africa and India. So it literally shows how the teams have played, how the points table have been lined up. And when you look at both the sides, when you start with Australia, they lost the first two games, but the way they have bounced back again shows the mentality that they have. And you know that these guys are the world champions. Irrespective of any tournament that is being played, when you know a team like Australia is going to be in that event, you are 100% sure that at some or the other stage they will bounce back and make sure that they are the ones that you have to compete with in order to get your hands on that trophy. So as of now, Australia has that momentum going on after the first two losses, and then coming to South Africa, they have a very mixed kind of World Cup when you look at it. They have played really well again, but that comes at a time when they have been batting first. But when it comes to chases, we have seen that there is still that sense of vulnerability when it comes to the batting order, because they are not able to identify the right way they have to go about these chases. And that is where I think Australia will have an eye on, and if they win the toss, they will try to get that advantage. So I still feel that the World Cup, the way the World Cup has been panned for these two teams, Australia still has a very good advantage over South Africa.
Yeah, I can see that Parth is slightly edging over Australia. Now I can see why he is wearing an yellow. So, talking about South Africa, he told that South Africa had some tricky while coming to the semis. I feel even Australia had that. Only apart from India, every team had some slip and turns. So, I personally feel that South Africa have, like this particular campaign, they have had a tremendous season. Apart from that loss to India, which they were hilariously very poor. So other than that, there were just on off day against Netherlands, which was a great upset as well. But other than that, they were quite up and downs in their batting while chasing a big score. But we can see that in Pakistan, against Pakistan, they did a good job. Well, even the Shamsi and Maharaj were keeping there and holding on and giving them a crucial victory. That was a very crucial victory. So I feel, Australia, we all know Australia, how good they are. So it's going to be a tough fixture for both of the teams, and they will look to get the most out of it.
That's true. So obviously, talking about Australia, they have more experience in the knockout stage of an ICC match, and you can also say they have that winning DNA in them. So would that play a effect on the mentality that both the teams come into this game with?
Definitely, that does play a big role when you're playing any knockout game. Australia know how to handle the pressure better than probably India at the moment as well, because if you have seen the last few performances of the Indian team in knockouts, we have not been doing that well. But when you know, like a champion team like Australia, they are, I think, born to play these games. Every game for them, they estimate that this is a knockout game, and I think that is where they have taken that edge over literally all the teams. So that will definitely play a big role when it comes to this game. And against South Africa, everyone knows that South Africa also carries that tag of being a choker. So that is where South Africa will have to find a way of getting out of that zone. As our expert here mentioned, that definitely South Africa has had a tremendous World Cup campaign this time, and they have literally done very well when it comes to playing in this edition. But to carry on that and play against a team like Australia, who are the world champions, you have to keep in mind that this is not just going to be another game. This is not just another knockout. It's probably their biggest hurdle. If they are able to cross this, then definitely they will have the upper hand, the advantage going into the finals.
As well said by Parth, if you had people following football might know, Real Madrid is the best team in the European competition. Likewise, in cricket, Australia are the best team while it comes to ICC tournaments. So they have done it, and they will try to do it now. In 2003 we have seen, in 2007 we have seen, in 15 we have seen. Like in 4 World Cup they won thrice. So it clearly look to see the mentality they have, and they won as well as the 2021 World Cup T20 and as well as the Test Championship. So they are bound for greatness, and they are doing it. If you personally ask me, if you compare to 2011, 2015 or 2019 World Cup, this current South African team is so good. It's right up there. If you ask me which is the best team they had, I would say this. Because just 4 people in the current squad were in the 2019 World Cup. That means all the squad is renowned. Most of the squad is the renowned squad, and they are playing some tremendous brand of cricket, be it bowling, batting or all-round capacity, especially in the middle order. Even Jansen is coming in and shipping a great 72. We have seen that. So it's right up there along with India, as I would rate them as the top 2 teams in this World Cup. After only I will rate Australia in the third. But since we talked, Australia is Australia when it comes to knockouts, and they have done it, so they will have to do it again.
So both the teams have proven match-winning players in them, but which of the match-winning players in either team would have a larger impact on the game in an overall sense?
So we have seen that Maxwell played a wonderful innings against Afghanistan, one for the ages definitely, and then we had Mitch Marsh, who produced yet another wonderful innings. That is where you know that there are players in this Australian team that can literally take the game away from you. The best part that I had liked about Maxwell's inning was not what he played, but what actually happened there on the ground. When people saw him cramp and literally he was on the ground, that is where Pat Cummins and the physio of the Australian team came into picture. And what the physio said was that if he would have taken Maxwell out at that particular moment, his body would have literally come into that rest zone, and then for him to eventually get back into the game would have been difficult, not only for that particular game but maybe going ahead, because once your body goes into that rest mode, it is very difficult for you to come back to your normal senses. And that is where the physio of the team told him that all you have to do is stand there. And the ones who literally were there on the field, like watching the game, I was part of that match. I was lucky enough to see that match live in the stadium, and I could see the way Maxwell was running after that cramp episode happened. He was taking on the singles. He was trying to at least walk to the other end and take that single, and all that eventually made Maxwell stand on his own. If that same thing would have happened when Maxwell would go back to the dressing room, maybe there would be fall of wickets and then Maxwell would have to come back, I still doubt he wouldn't come back. So these are the things that you see, that the mentality this Australian squad has, that even if that's a dead game, they will not give up. And that is the kind of mentality you need from each player, and the Australian team has that. If you look at South African team, no doubt you have wonderful players. You have Klaasen, you have Markram, you have Marco Jansen, Miller. All these players are also absolutely destructive. They will literally take the game away from you. But when it comes to these crunch games, you need to have players that the Australian team has. So again, when you're looking at the middle order performances, you're looking at the team combinations, on paper, on the field, Australian team will definitely have an advantage.
Initially, we all thought like, okay, Australia is back-to-back defeat, so they are not in this World Cup. But the way they come back, especially the recent games, Warner is in form, Smith is back to form, which is so crucial for them because he is the anchor for them. And Mitchell Marsh, we have seen what he did in the last match. Travis Head, after for so long, he was injured. So after coming back, he is hitting. So they know when to peak. So they know the right time to peak there. And in the middle order, if you see Maxwell is there, Stoinis is there. Since we haven't seen the best of Stoinis yet, but he will come into the picture eventually. So if you take head to head, they are both there. And if you take about South Africa, we have seen Deacock, who smashed a century against Australia. Previously, they met in the same World Cup.
Correct.
So he currently has 4 World Cup centuries this season, and he would look to reach the equal mark of Rohit Sharma, which he hit in the 2019. He will look to do it the next match. So let's hope. And even Markram is there. We have seen the Klaasen, how destructive he can be. If you take Maxwell one side, and you can take Klaasen one side. So it's neck and neck. Equally is there, and Miller is there. Miller have seen everything in this world. Like, he has been the T20 format, he has been the ODI format, and he is doing so consistently in the middle order for them, like old war horse. He is doing there, keeping there, and so it's going to be a tough match for both of them. And I think it's tough to predict, isn't it? So between the both of them, we can't actually predict who is going to win, but it's a tough match.
You mentioned the middle order. As a fact, both of the teams have very strong middle orders. But which of the middle order do you think can impact the match more?
I feel, as I said before, it's so tough to take, but I have to slightly tilt in the way of Australia, just purely because of their experience they had in this middle, not in the middle, like in the knockout stages in the tournament. We have seen they have been not great in the T20 World Cup as well in 2021, but they slowly get into the picture and won it eventually. So they will peak, as I said before, the right time. So yeah, South Africa has also had a great match winner. The middle order is there, but I feel Australia has got an edge. What do you think?
It actually depends on which middle order plays spin better, because if you're looking at the venue, Kolkata, Eden Gardens, the pitch is slightly towards the slower side. It's not going to be a wicket where you can easily score 400 or something like that. Even a score of maybe 250, 280, if any team is able to get that, and if the bowling does really well, if the spinners do really well, then I think it's an fair competition, and the one who plays spin really well will have that upper advantage. But I'll still vote for Australia.
Yeah, we have seen how Virat and Shreyas was hanging
exactly.
That's true. You mentioned chasing, South Africa chasing being a weakness previously. So do you think that Australia will look to exploit that, and is there any certain reason why South Africa are affected while chasing?
There's no particular reason. I think the only fact that they still haven't identified the way to go about the chases is the reason why they haven't been able to come up with a plan of how they have to progress their innings. See, when they are batting first, you can literally see that the openers might have some targets that in the first 10 overs, this is what they want to get. Then eventually at that 25th over mark, you can see that they are 150 for 2 or something. And then players like Markram, Miller have that free hand, and they can literally go on and smash all the bowlers in the death overs. That is where eventually you see them scoring 300, 350 for fun. But when you're looking at chasing, they still don't have a plan of how to progress the innings. If they can break it into parts, maybe 10 overs, this is the target. After another 10 overs, this is the target. That is how they'll be able to put those smaller targets into picture and try and achieve them and eventually get the results done. So that is where I think Australia will still try and use that, because again, Australia is someone that will not let you sit on your strengths. They will ensure that your weakness is highlighted in the best way possible, and they will try and for every opportunity that your weakness again comes and creates that problem for yourself. So Australia, if they win the toss, they will definitely ensure that South Africa goes into that chase mode. And again, because it's a knockout game, you do not want to have that pressure of chasing a score in any knockout game. So whoever wins the toss, I think the first option is going to be to bat first.
So I kind of accept to what Parth said. So both the team would want to bat first, since it's purely because it's semi-finals and both the team want to put runs on board and look to defend that. And especially South Africa would tend to bat first purely based on the their recent form, and they are so consistent while batting first. And they also have this tag of chokers in the when it comes to knockout stages and World Cup. We have seen quite a few times that. So they would also like to anyone would not want that name in their back. They are a very great team which immense quality and talent there is quite remarkable. So if a team which is deserved to be take that cup, I'm saying it's there. I think more than Australia, I think the just the brand of cricket Australia, I mean South Africa is playing quite for some time now. I think they deserve it. And Australia will counter that by saying they have Adam Zampa there, Maxwell there, since it's Kolkata, so it's going to be a spinny track and it's going to be tough for the middle orders for the South African batsmen, but they have to find a way to, get rid of it.
So in the group stage, both the teams have finished with equal amount of points and equal amount of wins. Do you think that this encounter itself will be that close?
I think it's going to be quite close, purely because of the potential and the match winners they have in their respective teams. So both won't want to lose this game. So they will give their 100%. We have seen Zampa coming to quietly the rhythm now, and he is the top wicket takers in the World Cup campaign as of now. And we have seen Quinton de Kock smashing 4 centuries as of now, and he will be looking to equaling the Rohit Sharma's record of 2019, and hopefully in the final he might be going on to hit the 6th century as well. So he is in the top run scorer list. He is in second, I think so. And Zampa is in for Australia. And even in this we can see that they are both neck to neck. So I think it's going to be a tough picture for both of them. What do you think?
And I think that is where we'll also get to see which team literally as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a low scoring affair because of the pitch that is going to be available for the knockout. And again, that is where which team handles the pressure the most, and if there is any player on that particular day who has decided that this is my day and he literally takes the game away, then there is nothing that you can do. So it's going to be a difficult task for both the teams. It's going to be a very good game, definitely. But I still feel Australia will have the edge just because it's a knockout game and in an ICC tournament.
You mentioned that it would be a close game. I'm going to throw you a bouncer and say, in the group stages, South Africa won convincingly by 134 runs.
Yes.
So how does that play into this match?
It might play quite. To some extent, it might play in their back of their mind, but it's a different ball game altogether when it's come to the knockout stage. It's a new day, it's a new game, and we have already talked about how the mentality is going to play in the picture and come into the picture when Australia is playing. They won't give you an edge. Like there was a saying that if you give an inch, Australia will take a yard. So they won't, as Parth already mentioned, they won't let South Africa to play in their strength. So they will make them uncomfortable. They will put pressure on them. It's going to be a match between South Africa's resilience and Australia's attack. And let's see who's going to come on out of it.
And also the fact that, as we know, it's something that our team who has won a lot of ICC tournaments have a particular formula to not look back at what games have been played. So irrespective of whatever has happened in the group stage, I think that will not be of any relevance now. The only thing that they will carry from that is the momentum that they have. Apart from that whatever centuries, whatever wickets, whoever has scored the most runs, all of that becomes irrelevant. It's a fresh start. It's an absolutely new start. And whoever on that particular day comes out with the right mindset and executes the plan that have been made, I think that team will have the edge over the other.
That's true. It's going to be a mammoth fixture, and with it being a mammoth fixture comes the chance to make a fantasy team a very good one. So what would be your picks for the fantasy team?
So when you're looking at the fantasy team, you'll have Quinton de Kock as one of the openers just because of the kind of form he is in. Then you'll have David Warner from Australia because he's definitely a big match player. Then you have Rassie van der Dussen because he's been terrific for South Africa. He's literally played wonderful innings in the league stages. So that is definitely that he's someone who can literally take the game away in the initial phase in the power play. Then you have Steve Smith, world-class player, and you need to have him there because he's the one who will hold the middle order for you. Then you have the South African Aiden Markram. He's definitely a good all-rounder to have, and he has played really well in this World Cup. So he is someone that you'll definitely keep. Then you have Maxwell. Wonderful player, and the kind of innings that he has put it in that league stage against Afghanistan, he's definitely someone who can literally win you the game single-handedly, and he has shown that this can be replicated by anyone else and not just him. So he needs to be there in the squad. Then you have Marco Jansen. Again, he's the kind of all-rounder that a team would like to have, because he gives you that firepower when it comes to the death overs, and then also he can give you that few overs initially with the new ball, then in the death. So a wonderful all-rounder to have in your squad. Then you have two spinners, Zampa and Keshav Maharaj. And again, as we mentioned earlier, the pitch is going to be on the slower side. So these are the two world-class spinners that these teams have with them. So they need to put their show really well, and if they are able to get those 3-4 crucial wickets for their respective teams, then that team will definitely have a very good advantage going ahead. Then you have Hazelwood from Australia. Hazelwood is that kind of a bowler who will hit the hard lengths even if it is an ODI. That test match length that he puts in an ODI is something that a lot of teams are not able to do, and he still can get you wickets even when he does that. So that is something that is really commendable from a person like Hazelwood. You see he has players like Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins, who are literally trying to get the swing, get it right there up in the channel for the batsman, but for the batter. But again, Hazelwood is that kind of a bowler who will stick to his ideas and he will give you the results, and his economy is also really good. So he's that bowler that you will definitely have. And then you have Kagiso Rabada, that kind of pace that he has. Again, because the wicket is going to be on the slower side, you never know that if the ball literally pitches right on the seam, it may be giving that some initial movement that will be very difficult to play with. And if then Australia has to bat under the lights, and that is when I think Rabada will also become more lethal. So I think this is the squad that you will have. And then when you're looking at the captain, vice captain, it's always better in a game like this to have your all-rounders being made as the captain, vice captain, because that will definitely give you more points. So if you're looking at our squad, I think Markram should become the captain and Maxwell should be the vice captain.
That's true. That's a very interesting fantasy 11.
I think this is the best combined 11 we can see, because I didn't involve in this because I'm terrible at this, and Parth is the only one who made all these changes.
So let's put Australia versus South Africa aside for a bit, because I'm going to put you two up against each other in a rapid fire. The first to answer 3 questions wins. Whoever answers my questions first, obviously, is the answer that's counted. If it's correct, you get the point. If it's not, we move on to the next question.
Okay.
So, beginning with the first question, who is the top scorer of Australia in the famous 438 run chase by South Africa? Is it Matthew Hayden, Adam Gilchrist, M. Hussey, or is it Ricky Ponting?
Ricky Ponting.
That is correct.
Thank you.
That is your point. So, who was the bowler when Gibbs dropped Steve Waugh in the 1999 World Cup? Was it Antony, was it Donald, Pollock, or was it
Antony?
Sean Pollock.
That is correct. It was Sean Pollock. So it is 1-1. So, going on to the third question.
I gave you that point.
So, on to the third question. Who is the only South African captain to win an ICC trophy? Is it Smith? Is it Hansie Cronje? Is it AB de Villiers? Or is it Pollock?
Smith.
That is incorrect.
Hansie Cronje.
That is correct.
I'm just giving him the
2-1.
points. I want to make a comeback like Australia. Let's see.
Let's see.
You wish.
So, who is the first Australian captain to lead his team to the World Cup finals? Is it Alan Border? Is it Ian Chappell? Is it Mark Waugh? Or is it Ricky Ponting?
Border.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Again,
Mark Waugh.
that is also incorrect. So, we are going to move on to the next question. Neither of you get a point.
How many questions remaining?
We have a few.
Okay.
You need 3 to win.
I need to script my comeback, so that's why.
So, which team failed to qualify for the knockouts while defending their title like England in this World Cup? Is it West Indies? Is it Australia, Sri Lanka, or Pakistan?
Australia.
That is correct. And that is 3-1.
Comeback is gone.
The comeback is gone. Sriraam wins. And on that, Sriraam, you get this gift hamper from the International Institute of Sports and Management. So,
nice.
He won the hamper. Australia will win the game.
we'll see about that. Only watching the match will tell us who wins the game. So, anyways, we now come to the question for our viewers. Just like our experts, you can also answer a question. Who is the only South African bowler to take a fifer in the World Cup semi-finals? You can go over to our Instagram stories at our handle, that is IISM World, and vote and let us know who do you think it is. So anyways, we thank you for tuning in to today's match, and we hope that you will enjoy the match as much as you have enjoyed our show. It was a pleasure having you on here. I have been your host Erishe Solai, and these have been your experts Parth and Sriraam. It was a pleasure having you today, and we hope to see you next time for the finals. Thank you.